Elizabeth Montgomery has long been remembered as one of classic television's most elegant and charismatic stars, but every so often a headline resurfaces that reminds audiences how tightly controlled and how easily sensationalized Hollywood images once were, especially when it came to powerful women. Stories about Montgomery stepping outside the carefully curated boundaries of her wholesome television persona have circulated for decades, often exaggerated by tabloid language designed to shock rather than inform, and that contrast is exactly what makes the topic so enduring. At the height of her fame, when audiences saw her weekly as a charming, magical housewife, the idea that she could appear in a more daring, artistic, or unconventional light felt almost scandalous to a culture that preferred its stars neatly boxed. Yet what's often lost in the gasp-worthy framing is the larger context. This was an era when actresses were quietly pushing back against rigid expectations, exploring roles and imagery that reflected adulthood, autonomy, and creative freedom rather than fantasy perfection. Montgomery herself was known among peers as thoughtful, intelligent, and deeply committed to her craft, and any departure from her television image was less about provocation and more about reclaiming control over how she was seen. The modern obsession with such moments says as much about audiences as it does about the actress, revealing how quickly appreciation can turn into fixation when nostalgia collides with curiosity. Instead of reducing her legacy to a single eyebrow-raising phrase, it's worth remembering that Elizabeth Montgomery's impact came from decades of work, cultural influence, and quiet defiance of industry norms. The real story isn't about shock value at all, but about a woman navigating fame on her own terms in a time that rarely allowed it, leaving behind a body of work that still resonates and a reminder that icons are always more complex than the headlines that try to contain them.